Now, talk about a political earthquake. And nothing could be more gripping in the race to the governorship election in Anambra State in November than the recent defection of Peter Obi's right-hand man and the poster boy of his obedient movement, Valentine Ozigbo, from the Labour Party to the APC. It's a move that sent shockwaves across the country and ignited a torrent of anger and dismay among some, a measure of support amongst others, and hope in the APC that this could signal the rise of the party in the state. But still others have warned that it could all backfire against Mr. Ozigbo, given how besmirched the APC's image is, not just in Anambra State, but across many parts of the southeast. The surprise, they say, isn't so much that he left the Labour Party, given how tessellated the party is at the moment, but for many, the question is, why on earth would he choose to go to the APC of all parties? And is it possible for him to walk that line without falling into a political ditch? Well, to get his personal take on all those talking points swirling around him, I'm suitably delighted to say that Valentine Ozigbo joins me now in the studio. How nice to see you again.
Pleasure, Charles.
And I was going to say, I noticed the cap has changed. It now says not obedient movement, but valiant movement. Valiant. I like the play of words, actually. Yes. It's very, very original.
Precisely.
But a lot of our audience are still not believing their ears when they hear that you, of all people, have defected from the Labour Party and by extension from the obedient movement to the APC. What are the compounding issues that led you to make this unexpected detour to, of all parties, the APC?
I like your choice of word, compounding issues, because there actually is not as simplistic as I see the reactions on the social media. Charles, let me say thank you for having me. This is
We're delighted to have you.
First major outing since all of this.
Indeed, and we were very honored that you chose to speak to us before anyone else.
Thank you. And I have to first appreciate, honestly, God Almighty for where I am today and what is going on. And to appreciate the teaming supporters out there, those who are excited about this move, those who are not so excited, and those who are ignorant about the move. And what I promise is engagement. Over time, I believe a lot of people will understand the strategic nature of this move. Where do I start from? There are always push and pull factors when a decision of this nature would occur. There are things that are happening in your current situation you're not proud of, that you're not excited about, that will lead you to, you know what, explore. Go beyond where you are and look for what you can consider a better alternative. And then when you look out there, there are also things that you're going to see, that are pull factors that will draw you to where you're headed to, and that ultimately land you to a decision point. I am at peace with the decision I've taken because of a number of these compounding issues. And let's start with the push factors. I see a Labour Party where I'm not so proud of the future. I started asking myself, where are we headed to? On one hand, there are litigation issues around the leadership, chairmanship. Up to today, there's a case in the Supreme Court, and there are a multiplicity of other cases that we don't even know about. And either Abure wins or loses, there are implications that I'm not totally proud of. Beyond, and when I actually think about what even originated this whole recent issues, beyond the other issues about Apapa, Arabambi, and co., on the side of the Abure, was the national convention that took place in Anambra State. I consider that process very flawed. Typically, you start the national convention from the ward level, then local government, then state, then national. But what was done upside down, and there are implications. A lot of the obedience wanted to get into the party through the right process. And I'm not saying we must change the leadership, but let the leadership go through the right process. I've always emphasized on right process. And so if you are introducing wrong process, then I am not going to be party to keeping, because when people use the word loyalty, they miss the point. Loyalty is not usually to individuals. Loyalty is to values, certain things that you hold dear. Correct. So if the individual exhibits certain value at variance with what I hold dear, and I continue to follow, I may leave the individual, but I'm still consistent with those values. So in the case of Labour Party, beyond the National Convention, which was flawed, is also another event that took place in Anambra State Congress, where they practically decimated the party. And I raised alarm. I complained to Abure himself, to our national leader, Peter Obi, to the governor of Abia State, and whoever that cared to listen. We are destroying Labour Party in Anambra State. When you look at these issues, then consider the huge defections, people losing faith in Labour Party, moving away to other parties. And now take record of all the elections we've lost. Almost all the states, not just that we lost, abysmal loss, total failure. So I said to myself, if really Anambra is something I'm passionate about, if I want to rescue my people, under what platform? So I should just name of loyalty and then people continue to suffer? No. The definition of loyalty I've spoken about. So there was a real consciousness around this conversation. And I engaged with a lot of people, a lot of institutions. Here is the situation with Labour Party. What do we do next?
And did you engage with Peter Obi?
Oh, many times, certainly.
What was his reaction? How did he take the fact that his most trusted, one of his most trusted deputies was effectively deserted?
I come to that.
Right.
I come to that. The point here, because there's need for a lot of people who are on the social media to understand really the issues, is this is also, is this not just emotion? There's a bit of emotion, but we've also got to bring logic and strategy and reasonableness into the conversation. So I ask a lot of people, and I also ask somebody like you, if you wanted Valentine Ozigbo to be the governor of Anambra State, and it's no longer going to be Labour Party, where else? Give me an answer. I've asked everybody who cared to listen, give me an answer. I'm going to fight an incumbent who we believe is not doing well. And truly, I can talk about Soludo forever, because it's actually disappointing the Anambra. So if we wanted to change Soludo, which other party if it's not Labour Party? And I'm challenging everybody listening to me today. Which other party? Is it PDP? And they said, no, it's not PDP. They're even dragging who is the national secretary. All of those issues, if you come to Anambra State, they also fill with other litigation issues. So PDP wasn't going to be an option. So is it that we used APC or some other smaller party, which, yeah, it's easier to even win primary in those other parties and move on. However, to be able to contend with an incumbent governor, you needed to also be very strategic. Now, these are reasons, thinking outside of the box, moving away from Labour Party arose. Now, what pulled me into APC? Beyond being a large party with a lot of structure and following, I have never been in doubt that I will be able to defeat Soludo, even if I take any party, because of the rising momentum that we've garnered, the grassroots base that we have. And like I said to you, a lot of people are not quite comfortable with this nature and style of governance. And so, but there's also need to have a structure that can enable you protect the win when it does happen. Because here we are, again an incumbent. If it was a neutral ground, it's okay. If you try to run under a smaller party, you're going to spend a lot of resources which you may not even have. and the probability of success will be very low.
Right.
And so APC needed also somebody like me who would not only bring the base of support and win on ground. There's also something I found fascinating, which is if we have APC at the leadership at the national level, federal level, and I care about the Anambra Travel mantra. I have a lot of ideas what I want to really unfold. I want to build a better synergy. I want to be able to connect to the grid. I want to be able to make this a proper win-win for Anambra people. And the battle about future elections, let's deal with the imminent right now. Let's get into the office. And guess what? In my conclusion, I started seeing Labour as worse than APC and PDP combined because of the nature of the issues there. Okay. And therefore, here's my last point here. If I get into APC and win and become governor of Anambra under APC, I don't see the concern people raise about APC changing me. I would rather inspire change from within to get people to actually now begin to appreciate value and love for the party.
You've made a lot of points there, but I wanted to give you that chance to really explain your position, and thank you for being quite clear and lucid, as you usually are. We're going to come to your chances of actually, first of all, picking the ticket of the APC in a moment. But just to get past that point that a lot of obedience and all the rest of them have been making, many of them say that you are a political opportunist who tried to ride on the coattails of Peter Obi to the Anambra State governorship. I mean, he was a homeboy, and a lot of people suggest that he actually sponsored you, or at least he was one of your sponsors under the PDP to run for governor. And now that you've failed and he failed at the national level, you're seeking opportunity from the ruling.
So let me clarify certain things. First is I took a decision to go into politics and run for governorship of Anambra State. By the grace of God, out of 15 of us who wanted to be candidates of PDP in 2021, I was privileged to emerge winner. And by this time that I became candidate of PDP, I can take it to the bank that I received 0 penny from Peter Obi. So he didn't sponsor me into PDP. Let's the point be clear. Now, did he support me for the main election? Well, yes, he did, and I'm very grateful and thankful to God for that. And my respect for Peter Obi hasn't diminished.
Right.
My relationship with him is still very civil, so there is no personal issue. And this is not just about Peter Obi and Valentine. That's not the conversation. The conversation is about the Anambra people. I took a deliberate decision. I can count up to 10 times we had a conversation around Anambra. In fact, a few weeks before the last travel I made to the UK, I met with him and I told him I am uncomfortable with Labour Party and it's not likely I'm going to use Labour Party to run. So he's clear, one-on-one.
What was his reaction?
Well, we debated it. He felt the issues could be resolved. I said, you are running for election in 2027. Mine is this year. So I don't have the time. So if I had 2027 I could be patient.
But was this an acrimonious? Have you both of you now fallen out?
Not at all. Not at all.
Right.
Not at all. Not at all. If you know me, I respect my elders.
Well, it doesn't have to be you. It could be from him as well.
See, it takes two. If you are decent and honorable enough to use right words, you can't get any reaction that could be acrimonious. So, but the point I'm making here is that I engaged, I reached out, and I'm thankful for his support. But we needed to take a decision. And guess what? Let me also say this to a lot of people. A lot of the obedience who were really, really upset. Were upset because they didn't hear from me. I've had to engage on Twitter, Zoom meetings with a lot of them. I've not heard of anybody that I've spoken to that understood my reason that is not supporting me today.
Well, to be fair to you,
Yes.
I followed one of your recent Zoom meetings.
Yes.
You had quite a lot of people in it, and to be entirely fair, you're absolutely right. Well, I mean, I don't know who the people are. They could well be your supporters who were simply coming on, but they said they were Anambra people, and all of them were very supportive of you. But let me ask you this. How politically delicate are things for you now? I mean, you've left the Labour Party under a storm of criticism, let's be honest, and outrage. You've crossed over to the APC, where you're not exactly necessarily welcomed as a great friend of the party, given how critical you've been of them. I mean, it sounds like this is a definitively politically delicate moment for you. I mean, how good a chance do you stand in those circumstances of becoming the APC governorship candidate in Anambra State?
Thank you. Before I go to that question, let me have just a last shot on this, on the last conversation.
Briefly, because the time is galloping ahead.
To say to you that for a lot of people who are still out there criticizing my decision, it's simply because they haven't heard from me. For every single person that's heard, I can tell you they are either sympathetic or very supportive to my decision. And so if you're out there listening to me, don't worry. When we engage, I bet you're going to jump the fray and say, you know what, Valentine, you took the best decision you could ever imagine. Because again, it's not about me personally. Now let's go to your question about my chances. You know, Charles, let me be honest to you. Politics is a game, is a probability game. If I say to you that I am certain to be the candidate of APC, I'll be lying to you. But do I stand a good chance? Oh yes, because majority of the leadership of APC are excited. Who is this guy that just entered APC and everyone?
Well, they could also be threatened. I mean, because
the people that are threatened are people who are running against me.
Well, the point is that you're up against some big heavyweights there. I mean, people like Dr. Paul Chukwuma, who sat on that seat that you were sitting in, Professor Obiora Okonkwo, who sat where you were sitting.
Incidentally, these are some of the people we met on ground.
Yeah, but John Bosco Onunkwo, Michael Omoji, Nicholas Ukachukwu.
Let
me just ask the question, how much of a challenge is that, and what can you offer that they can't, especially as you are a very new kid on the APC block?
Good question, Charles. However, on one hand, I want to say to you that they're not new to me, and I'm not new to them. Don't forget, I ran for the primary with some of them in the 2021 election, and some of them were active in the other camp. Someone like Obiora Okonkwo, you mentioned, came second to me in PDP primary, despite the fact that has been a long founder. In fact, let me narrate this quick story. When I jumped out of Transcorp to go into the Anambra election, I was faced with some scenario. How do you think from nowhere you can go to PDP of all parties with 14 other people? In fact, there were 21 of us, by the way. APC is only 7 of us. There were 21, 15 eventually bought forms, and sitting senator, House of Reps, billionaires. That's what they were telling me. I wasn't perturbed. Guess what? I came first in the primary. Why wouldn't I repeat this? Now that I've even built, I've learned the job. I've learned from the best. And they're telling me I can't, no. I am bringing value to APC. A lot of these people are actually new to APC. Guess what? When they joined APC, you, Charles, didn't even notice. But who in Nigeria doesn't know that Valentine is in APC today? That's the difference. I am bringing incredible value. If APC is desirous of winning Anambra State, they know what to do. And all I usually ask for is a level playing field. Just give us a free and fair primary.
Well,
if I win, I win. If I lose,
right.
I lose.
Well, I
but
mean,
guess what, Charles? I'll come back here and sit with you and break the news as the candidate of APC.
Well, we shall obviously be following your trajectory very closely. But I mean, you've obviously forged some alliances within the party that encouraged you to defect to the APC.
And I'm engaging the aspirants as well. I'm
Right.
talking to them. Let's build some consensus. This is not
Right.
Well, it's not
but presumably your entry into the party, I mean, the PDP APC, is seen as being in sort of a crisis mode in many parts of the southeast because of the measure of support. Although, to be fair to them, their support has been on the rise. I mean, they've now essentially got 2 states when they had none.
Yes.
But, I mean, there are still in the crisis, and the presumption must be from them that your entry isn't going to deepen that crisis. And I wonder if it does.
I'm a man of peace. I'll let's bring
No,
peace.
yeah, but if it does, what sort of deconfliction hub have you set up to deal with that?
I have had to visit one of the aspirants and said to him, let's have a good understanding here to collaborate and work with each other. Let's actually think about winning this election and what we need to do together, the synergy we need to build, the collaboration we need to have to make sure we succeed. And I intend to visit every single other person who is in the race. And it's not a do or die thing. Let's build a family. Let's actually come together and unite among. It's usually difficult sometimes, but it's not impossible. Let me tell you what I usually do. Do your own bits. Apply yourself to the fullest. And whatever the outcome, you take it and move on. Yeah.
But I mean, take us to the APC in Anambra State. What's it like in the state? How fragile is it?
You see, I'm one of those persons that believe that if you really, really, really want to remove an incumbent governor, there's need to build a unity ticket, in quote. Not necessarily a consensus ticket. You've got to be a candidate that is seen as a unifier. And that's the beauty of my candidacy. APC hasn't won a lot of, in fact, any election more or less in Anambra State. And they now see a great chance of winning. But there is need, I want to emphasize the need for this unification because in me, you're seeing the last candidate of PDP. So I have a whole lot of PDP supporters with me. In me, you're seeing the most visible aspirant then of Labour Party. So there's a whole lot of, and when I defected, I went to Labour Party and I said to them, this is not going to be, if you really want to remove an incumbent governor, no party alone can do it. We have to form alliances. And so I want to be that candidate that APC will back, PDP will back, Labour will back, YPP will back.
Well, that's not going to be possible in a competitive environment.
No, that's what I'm saying to you. No other person has that uniqueness. Because I just ran an election in 2021 under PDP. So I have my structure there. They are ready to, I don't want to use the word die for me, but they will sacrifice.
Some of them, not all of them.
Not all of them.
Yeah.
The same thing. In APGA, don't forget the issue around the Dozie and Joku and all that. A lot of them are still very upset and they wouldn't want Soludo back. They would rather support me in this election. The team from APC, after Senator Ifeanyi of blessed memory died, a lot of the leadership had reached out to me and said to me, Val, there were 3 of you running for this election. Soludo, Ifeanyi and myself. Now that their own principal had left, just 2 of us remaining. And the principal, the mandate was that Soludo shouldn't come back. And they're still going to remain on that mandate. So they have no option than to back what I was doing.
But you know,
so a lot of those people,
right.
Before I even went to APC, now I'm home to them. So what I'm saying to you is that truly need to unify ourselves. And so for our friends who are also running, let's understand the need for this unity. Because with that mantra, we can get the job finished.
Yeah, but it sounds like you're saying that the APC is simply a vehicle for you to run for the election. There is no, I mean, you've spoken of yourself as someone who's driven by values and principles, but there don't seem to be any values and principles with regard to your move to the APC. It's purely a vehicle for you to win the election.
Let me be honest to you, be brutally honest to you. I am not really proud of where our party system is today, whether it's APC or Labour Party or PDP or anyone. I want us to evolve to where we will become a party of ideology, but we're not there yet. As of today, everybody will tell you parties are vehicles, but some of us are going in to now change that narrative so that it can move away from just being vehicles.
Yeah, but you didn't succeed in doing that in the Labour Party.
Of course, does not mean I should give up.
You didn't succeed in the PDP, you left. Because you didn't succeed in Labour,
I haven't been elected. My powers are limited. As of today, I'm still an aspirant or a candidate at best. Wait until I get in and become governor. Just by the way...
But what if you don't become governor? Can't we hold you to your values and principles unless you become governor?
Now, here's the point, Charles. I will do everything utmost best to add my value to changing the system. But I want to do it where there's maximum impact. I'm not going to do it where there's no future. Like I said to you, I didn't see any future. But APC has come to stay. And if I have to wait until there's a platform to now go to, that means I have to while a while.
Right.
Let's go in now and start a rebuilding.
So
I'm saying to you,
right,
watch out. If I say everything I'm going to do in APC, you may scare them away from me. So the point here is that
we
I
wouldn't want
to,
that, would we?
I want to see an improved APC in the future. And I want to be part of those that will help in the... My culture is continuous improvement. No matter what you're doing, there's always a better way of doing it.
But looking at that future, in 2027, can we now expect to see you joining President Tinubu's campaign train to campaign, for instance,
why not?
Against Peter Obi?
If I have to.
I mean, how weird and buggered would that be? You see what I mean?
But Charles, see, you must also respect the dynamism of politics. If I have to, if you leave me with options, and I am compelled to believe that President Tinubu coming back is the best, all hell, I'm going to go out there and campaign and vigorously demonstrate the value. Nigeria is at stake. Anambra people's mandates are at stake.
But just, I mean, you've been saying consistently that President Tinubu was not the right person to run this country. So it's interesting when that's juxtaposed against the fidelity of your word, when you suddenly turn around and say, wait a minute, let's bring him back in 2027.
See, 2023, honestly, is gone. We're going into 2027. And right now, we are in 2025. My preoccupation right now is, what do we do to start the salvaging process for the Anambra? And 2027, like I said, I use the word, if it requires that I have to campaign, yes, I will. So I'm not going to shy away from it. The fact that Peter Obi, of course, we did a lot of incredible things. I'm impressed by no regrets about my role in 2023. We brought something fresh. We energized the base. However, does not guarantee that all of that will repeat in 2027. So 2027 will speak for itself. For now, I prefer to just focus on 2025. But I'm also saying to you, I'm going to be clearly comfortable taking a decision either way to support President Tinubu, to get even him now to see how he can impact more, particularly the Southeast and Anambra State.
But so far,
if for instance,
very briefly because we're out of time.
If, for instance, I get in as governor, I convince President Tinubu we develop port system, develop gas infrastructure, curb insecurity, and we see Anambra as El Dorado. Why won't I campaign for him?
Right, okay. At the moment, you're not the governor. You're not even the candidate. And at this point, what marks out of 10 would you give President Tinubu so far?
I'm not sure why you're asking me this question.
Well, I'm asking you a straightforward question. You're a politician. You're an observer of developments, trends in Nigeria.
When it comes to the macro issues, when it comes to the boldness, the courage to take certain decisions, I honestly will say to you, President Tinubu is on the right track to doing some good that I'm happy about. There's an area I would like the president to pay more attention to, and that's really the rule of law and the issue of election issues. I'd like to get our INEC to where they can transmit results from polling units to the server. I want to get to where we can actually almost render redundant who the INEC chairman is, who the IG of police. Why can't we even migrate to electronic voting?
Okay.
So those initiatives, I want to see him do more in that regard.
In that regard, I want to thank you very much indeed.
And
we're very grateful to you to have come and spoken to us here before speaking to anyone else. Valentine Ozigbo is a newly minted governorship aspirant in Anambra State under the umbrella of the APC. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.